Last Wednesday, we kind of went up to 177. I'm going to go back to 171 for various reasons. Okay. And message to Rati. I wrote a Monday morning greetings, but hold off on that. We're going to have a guest columnist. Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta wrote, for various reasons, which you'll see, a special Monday morning greetings. So you can look forward to it. It's really got Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta's voice. And he writes when he's upset about something. That's when his real voice comes out. So, okay. So 171. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Saṁjñāṁ labdhvā samunmīlya locane lokayan punaḥ unmatta iva tat dhartuṁ sa-vego dhāvam agrataḥ. Give me one of those lozenges. I came to my senses, opened my eyes, and gazed upon him like a madman. I ran forward quickly to catch hold of him. Om agrataḥ Gyananjana Shalakaya Unmatta Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Pancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Shindu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Brinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, those of you following should know where we are, because, as you remember, this is in response to Uttara's question to Maharaj Parikshit to continue his summary of the Bhagavatam. He did a summary of the Bhagavatam by the Narada Muni searching to the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy. And now she wants a summary of the Bhagavatam by an analysis of the places where those Vaishnavas live. And it's a Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. It's the essence of the Bhagavatam. It's the story of the Bhagavatam told in another way, and to highlight really the focus of the Bhagavatam, which is the Gaudiya Vaishnav Siddhanta conclusion, which is Tasya Parama Antim, of the topmost thing, the end, of Braja, the end, which is the love of gopis and Srimati Radharani. This is Gop Kumar. We know the story. He's telling his own story to that Brahmin originally from Mathura, but living someplace else, who got this Gopal mantra and carried him to Braj, but he didn't really know too much about it. And again, the effect of the mantra, it has influence, but the influence is greater if we're receptive to it. And we'll be receptive to it according to our understanding of it and our faith in it. And according to Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana, according to our understanding of the mantra, according to our understanding how to practice it, and according to the goal or destination it leads us. Without that, it still has effect, but the receptiveness to that effect and the dealing of the mantra itself is not as strong. And this is kind of one of the themes. So how do we get here? How did Gop Kumar get to Puri? Well, as you remember, he got that mantra from his guru who left and said, here's the Supreme, I'm going to give you, something about the Supreme Lord. He began to search the Shalagram Shila. He didn't like the worship. It didn't seem to, the simple Brahmin didn't seem to express enough devotion. Didn't seem to be fed well enough and cared for enough. Of course, it was according to the Brahmin's capacity. And patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhakta. According, I accept a water flower leaf that's offered in devotion. But anyway, the Brahmin directed him to a king who had no son, adopted Gop Kumar, and Gop Kumar inherits the kingdom. And he's happy chanting his mantra and his great prasadam, not just a material thing. I'm trying to think now of the best prasad I've ever tasted. Jamuna's oatmeal at Henry's house. The Supreme Personality of Rice by Narmasaki. That was also extremely memorable. And I was traveling in South India and I went to this temple where you go down into a cave and it opens up into this temple and this beautiful deity. I forgot what it was, but they gave me some rice. It was, the tastes were exploding into my mouth. I don't know. There was even maybe a little rock candy in it or something. I don't know. There's so many spices, this yellow rice. But not just for the taste, but for the love that it carries. But, he was Gop Kumar. He was a Brajvasi. He was a cowherd boy. He had a little Braja Bhakti. He didn't really want to manage. So he divided the kingdom, he delegated it, he wasn't a big controller, but he still suffered. Because things always come up to the leader. And this is a commentary in the Gopi Pranadhana edition, but it really has the Jayadvaita Swami voice in it. He said, a discriminating Vaishnav may be better off uninvolved in the management of a kingdom. And anyway, there's other kingdoms. Once you get up that level, there's so much political intrigue. Imagine at the level of presidents of countries, and it's like, so two things, he feared other kings. So it also shows no matter what position you get in the material world, tasyeta heto prititeta kobito talabhyate yad brahmata, from the top to the bottom. If it's in the material world, it's dukkhalayam abhashashvatam. It's temporary and full of suffering. And just think of the billionaires, and wow, do they suffer? Actually speaking, they're trying to eke out some play. It just never works because no matter what they do, they have that existential malaise, that rock on their head. They're marching towards death. It's just they got a better last meal on death row. That's all. That's their enjoyment. They have a better last meal on death row. And they're more attached. I remember my friend Sridhar Mali passed away. And I saw him just when he came back from the hospital for the last time. It's kind of like, all right, yeah, if Krishna wants, it's not the drama. And I remember myself, when I came to Krishna consciousness and I realized I was eternal, it was like such a relief. I'm not going to die. It's such a relief. But also, there's always the emperor. And the emperor, he had a lot of smarta Brahmin, rule-based. I mean, there are two things: too much attention to the rules, affection to the rules, too little affection. We suffer from too little affection, but there are some people that suffer with too much affection. And I give the classic example. I can repeat it a million times. It's such a great example. I was in a building in India, and someone said there's a snake in the second floor, and they called the chowkidar, and he comes out, and because the rule is you don't wear your shoes in the room, he takes off his shoes. Yeah, the rule is we keep things in the mode of goodness. But what good does the mode of goodness do if you're dead? Too much attention for the rule. But for Gop Kumar, he had that simple Braja Bhakti. It was difficult for him to live in a place where prasadam was disrespected. And when he saw this, because they were, you can't eat this, throw it away, it's not this, the Brahmins who ate it, this touched first. It was like a dart in his marma. If you ever went to Veerabhadra Ram for the marma treatment where they press those holes there? Like a dart, real deep. And then these saints arrive and they start to explain about Puri. Now, of course, in Puri, it's the supreme respect for prasadam. I don't know if I told it on Wednesday or Sunday that Madhavananda sent me something, scandal in Puri. Some Brahmins were serving prasadam on a table. So people weren't sitting on the floor. They're not even supposed to sit on a mat. I use mats. So that and the Puri Prasad, there's something of love of Godhead by Prasad and Puri. Love of Godhead. And that festival that I've been doing, it really has a life of its own. I love festivals where you don't advertise, because you get people who really want to be there rather than the social thing. Everyone is there, let me go. I think we need more festivals where people just focus, I want to go, because of the Krishna-katha. And it's just so respected there, the Mahaprasadam. These people are just telling him about Puri. It's like me coming back from my Puri yatra. I mean, my God, the prasadam there, and then our Aryan Vaishnav cook, Sesha, one of the best cooks in the world. I don't know how this guy does it. I don't know how he does it. Whatever he cooks is just like, he's one of the all-time greats, our cook in Puri. Vaishnav, one of the all-time greats, our cook in Puri. And he gets the prasad from the Jagannath prasad. Oh, I'm doing manasa eating right now. That mustard sabji, oh my God. I'm such a bogey. And even if you touch Puri, you're liberated. And you can't see it, but all the residents have, even the donkeys have 4 arms, and a mere glimpse, you attain liberation. It's like, wow. So he goes to Puri, and he enters the temple. I'm just bringing this up to, yeah, he enters the temple, bows down to everyone, and somehow he's able to enter. And then he sees the moon-like face of Jagannath, those eyes, the forehead, decorated with tilak made of gems, his complexion glowing like a cloud full of rain, that sham, and the effulgence of his, it says dawn-colored lips, reddish, like the reddish dawn-colored lips, and moonbeams of unlimited satisfaction emanating from his smile makes it even more beautiful. And he sees this, and stuck by the ecstasy of pure love. But he was impeded because he's trembling, and he was unable to go forward despite his desire because he's overwhelmed by ecstasy. And then he reached that Garuda column, and his hair was standing on end, and his vision was clouded. He was experiencing rasa. All the bhavs were starting to manifest. And then he sees Lord Jagannath, jewelry, garlands, flowers, and the sight is increasing the pleasure of his eyes. And he's sitting on that throne, and he's eating all this chapan bhog, 64 items. And then Gopkumar's watching as the devotees are singing and dancing and playing music and offering prayers. It was just overwhelming, and then he falls on the floor. And I came to my senses and opened my eyes, and like a madman, he started to run towards the deity. And he's crying out, now I am seeing for what so long I wanted to see. Today my life this is real. I've obtained the Lord of the universe, my master. He had never felt so alive. He felt just delivered. He felt liberated and at joy. He's repeating it. I've never seen this before. And he's saying, I'm seeing in Jagannath the characteristic. My guru said, here's this mantra. Here is the Lord. I'm looking for I have the sound of the Lord. Now I have the form of the Lord. This is the form of the Lord. There's no doubt about it. I'm seeing it. And then he got the crap beat out of him by those Brahmins, because he was going to run and hug the deity. And then he kind of felt embarrassed. He said, this is the Lord's mercy. And he went outside and he received remnants. He thought, I'm just like a foreigner behaving. What the hell am I doing? And he was in pain, but he's not unhappy. He was overjoyed to be in Jagannath's realm. And the Lord was kind enough to prevent him from that serious offense. So he saw that. And then he sat down, and a compassionate person gave him Jagannath Prasad. Jagannath Prasad. Wow. Jagannath Prasad. Now that kheer with the little cheese balls in it. And then this is Gop Kumar, and he's telling this story to that Brahmin. Not the Brahmin who got that mantra, who met him at Keshi Ghat, and who he decided to tell his story to help him. O Brahmin, after eating that Mahaprasad, I quickly re-entered the Lord's temple. From the wonders I then saw, I felt a reservoir of happiness I'm unable to understand in my heart. I can't describe it with my mouth. I just stood there all day relishing bliss. That pure darshan, where the false ego is kind of dissipated. And Vaisheshu said, a beautiful statement, where attention goes, energy flows. So the energy is flowing into his consciousness. But he can't describe it, but it's so powerful, he's experiencing it. At night, there was a great festival with the Lord dressed and ornamented in elaborate splendor. But finally, after a great ceremony with offering a palmful of flowers, it was time to leave the temple. Netam gyata satam sange kalo nava navotsavai tatai basya Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta shoko me niragadiva. As I thus enjoyed ever new festivals in the company of saintly devotees, time passed unnoticed. I seemed to forget the sorrow of my separation from this land of Braja. So he kept on feeling happiness, but deep down the pain of separation from Braja always remained in his heart. So he was enjoying satam sange, the association, and time passed unnoticed. Time exists in the future and the past. It doesn't exist now. Once you become absorbed in anything, you start to transcend time. And that's what we have to do with our chanting. But we have to take the effort to be absorbed. And then we transcend time. Kind of enter into a spiritual realm. Sri Jagannath Devasya Sevak Keshu Kripotama Vividhagya Chasarvatra Shruyate Pyanu Bhuyate. Everywhere I heard about and saw for myself the most exalted mercy of Lord Jagannath on his servants and perceived the various commands he gave. Purport: in reciprocating with his devotees, Lord Jagannath often went out of his way to fulfill the various desires and would issue commands so as to give them opportunities for service. Gopakumar not only heard about this mercy from numerous sources, but saw examples of it with his own eyes. Nanyat kim apirocheta jagannathasya darsanat pranatosya mahatmya shushushapi nivartate. Nothing other than the sight of Lord Jagannath attracted me. I even lost interest in hearing about the glories from the Puranas. So this is Vraja Bhakti. You're attached to a personal relationship with Krishna, not a reverent one. And the reverent one no longer attracts you. And even the reverent one inspires the personal one. Because you think, my friend is so great, my lover is so great. But it never covers that intimate relationship. Purport: at first, Gopakumar was quite interested in the recitation by Puranic experts in the temples, in which the glories of Lord Jagannath were read from the Brahma Purana and other scriptures, but as he became more and more attracted to the beauty of Lord Jagannath's lotus face, he could no longer pay attention to those recitations. This is one reason he remained ignorant about such basic facts as the existence of the heavenly planets. So it seems like this is his natural feeling. He hasn't defined it yet, but it's a Bṛhad feeling. Attracted to the beauty, not the opulence. So hearing all these statements about is secondary. Just like if someone it falls in love, then the true love, that's more relishable than the person's position. But if one's a gold digger, then just the opulence is attractive. Shariram manasam vyasyat kinchit dukam kadachana tachashri pundari kakshe drishte sadyo vinashyati. And even if I sometimes underwent some physical or mental distress, as soon as I saw the lotus-eyed Lord, the pain disappeared. Going from the world of duality to non-duality. Just bliss, my relationship with God. And it puts this material world in perspective. Our conditioning is to see this is the all and all. Deha patya kali tradishu atma sanyeshva satsvapi hesham pramadhan nitanam pashanapi napashyati. Everybody's died, this person's died, this person's died. Pashanapi apashyati. Although you're seeing, you're not seeing. You're not seeing the reality. It's all temporary. And we have to come to that platform because we're getting older. I think, what is it? How many more months now? What this is, okay, June, July, August, about 4 months, I'll be 75. 3/4 of a century. It's not going to go 3/4 of a century more. Neha brikmanaso sti pratyavayo navidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya. But this bhakti, it saves you from the greatest type of fear. If you want to be fearless at the time of death, then chant, hear, and remember Krishna. Purport: it is to be expected that any embodied soul will often be distracted from the ecstasy of seeing Lord Jagannatha, lotus face, by unavoidable physical and mental disturbances. Diseases constantly threaten the body of conditioned souls, and all kinds of desires and vexations constantly pass through the mind. Gopakumar also felt these natural disturbances, but they at once disappeared when he came before Lord Jagannath. The bliss he felt from seeing the Lord made him forget his troubles and gradually diminish them almost to nil. Phalam labdham japasyeti matvo dashe smatatracha evam churadinam tatra nabasam paramasukai. Thus, thinking I had obtained the final result of my chanting, I became indifferent to my chanting. For many days, I lived in the city of Lord Jagannath in such perfect happiness. So this is what happens in Saṁjñāṁ. Without saṁjñāṁ, you become fruitive. You look at the activities to achieve a goal. But in bhakti, the practice is the perfection. It's just more mature. You never give up the practice. It's just a different quality. You chant to get darshan of the Lord and to get relationship with the Lord, to love God, and out of love for God, then you chant. So the chanting is never given up. And it's a hoitaki. It's causeless. Bhakti is causeless. You don't do bhakti for something. How would I put it? You don't do bhakti for something. You do bhakti for bhakti, for love. Purport, just living in Jagannath Puri is a great source of bliss. But Gopa Kumar began to feel attracted to the even greater bliss of rendering personal service to Lord Jagannath. The urge, first felt as a vague discomfort, gradually became a conscious desire. Gopa Kumar wanted to enter the inner room of the temple and approach the Lord as one of his personal attendants. One might wonder whether this desire was no more practical than wanting to touch the moon with one's hand. But Gopa Kumar refers to Lord Jagannath as Prabhu, indicating the Lord can do anything. Yes Chakravarti Tatratya Sa Prabhur Mukhya Sevaka Simukham Vikshatum Kshetra Yadayati Mahotsave Sajjano Padravo Dhyana Bangadhao Varate Pyata Madrasho Kinchana Swairam Prabhum Drashtum Nashakyu. On special festival days, the Lord's chief servant, the mighty king who ruled the country, came to the holy city to see the Lord's transcendental face, to prevent problems like disturbances to respectable people and damage to the Lord's garden. Unimportant people like me were then forbidden to freely see the Lord. Purport. These purports I think I can read them. By the special mercy of Lord Jagannath, the king of Puri at that time was a Chakravarti, an overlord of several other kings. By the privilege of his royal position, he was officially the principal worshipper of the Lord. His capital was elsewhere, but for major festivals like Rath Yatra, he would come to Sri Jagannath Puri. On those occasions, people like Gopa Kumar, without status or entourage, would be restricted from freely coming to see the Lord. This prohibition was not offensive on the part of the king, who was a saintly devotee, because it was necessary to protect the Lord's property and service. If everyone were allowed into the temple while the king was present, he and all the respectable people with him would have difficulty taking darshan, and the Lord's flower gardens could be damaged or his ponds polluted by unruly mobs. At the very least, the Lord's privacy would be threatened if too many people were allowed to converge on the temple. Thus, the poor people of the city had to tolerate having their movements restricted. And then, too, they were harassed by the presence of the king's large army with the elephants, chariots, horsemen, and infantry soldiers. One day, when I thus felt sick at heart, I saw my spiritual master standing in front of Sri Jagannath, overwhelmed by the highest ecstatic love. Somehow, purport, the same great soul who gave Gopakumar his mantra in Sri Vrindavan was now in Puri taking darshan of Lord Jagannath. So, you always read these stories where, I read this, where a child was kidnapped and the father rode on a bicycle with a sign for like 40 years to find the daughter, and then with the DNA or something. What that must be like. There's so many stories like that. Seeing the child after so imagine he lost his guru and then seeing his guru. But before I could speak to him, he left to go elsewhere, somewhere. And my mind was so attracted to the beautiful face of Lord Jagannath that he didn't notice which way my guru went. So he saw his guru, he couldn't bother him. So then he began looking at Jagannath and he became absorbed, and then he lost his guru. Purport, Gopakumar made a serious mistake by neglecting to follow his guru and meet him. But it was not offensive because he had innocently fallen victim to Lord Jagannath's beauty. Etastatom Magyataso dine jasmin tate bude nama sankirtananandar nityal labdhvā mayakala. After searching here and there the next day, I found them on the shore of the ocean, dancing alone in the ecstasy of Nam Sankirtan. Dandavat pranamantanmam Shrishtvasir vadapurvakam Ashishya payamasha sa-vego nugrahadidam. Seeing me prostrating myself like a rod on the ground, my all-knowing master gave me his blessings. Then he embraced me and mercifully told me this. Purport: if Gopakumar's guru knew everything, then surely he knew, without being told, the desires Gopakumar held in his heart. Yat yat sankalpya vatsa nijam mantram japishyasi tat prabhavena tat sarvam vanchati tam chasetyati. My dear boy, whatever you desire while chanting your mantra, by its power you will fully achieve. My dear boy, whatever you desire while chanting your mantra, by its power you will fully achieve. Indeed, you will attain more than you desire. Purport: before performing any religious ritual, including the chanting of mantras, one should solemnly formulate one's sankalpa intention, either verbally or mentally. In most Vedic sacrifices, one could expect one's sankalpa to be fulfilled only in the indefinite future, most likely in the next life. But by the blessing of his guru, Gopakumar's specific sankalpas would all be quickly realized, as we will see as the story continues. Sri Jagannatha Devasya Seva Rupam Chaviditam Evam Matva Chavishvasya Nakatachit Japam Tajay. This chanting, please understand, is another form of service to the Lord Sri Jagannath. Have faith in this and never give up your japa. Purport: even if Gopakumar had no other desire than to render personal service to Lord Jagannath, he is here told to understand that chanting his mantra is his intimate service to the Lord. One second, I'm going to take it out. Purport, even if Gopkumar had no other desire, okay, Gopkumar may not have seen this for himself, but he should accept it out of confidence on the words of his guru. Aware of Gopkumar's intense desire to serve Jagannath, the all-knowing guru also perceives that Gopkumar is neglecting his mantra, so he is helping him achieve his desire by correcting his neglect. So it just shows you how much help actually comes from so many different sources. And for a Vaishnava, his destiny, the surrendered soul, which is ruled by Krishna, everything that happens is for him. It's kind of molding us into this purity. Tvam metasya prabhavena chirajive bhavan vaham indriko parbo rupascha tatvalapya harmanasa. By the potency of this mantra, may you live a long time. May you always have the form of a cowherd boy. And may you develop the right mentality for tasting the mantra's fruit. Purport, to help Gopkumar take advantage of the benediction that this mantra will fill all his desire, his Guru Maharaj gives him 3 more blessings. First, Gopkumar will live long enough to enjoy whatever he may desire, even if that involves traveling to higher planets, where life is much longer on earth. Second, he will avoid old age and its ailments, staying always a young cowherd boy. In other words, throughout his life, he will keep the same age and dress he has now, regardless wherever he goes, be it Lord Brahma's planet of Vaikuntha. Third, his mind will not become confused or agitated by the immediate fulfillment of his desires, because the mantra will keep his intelligence fixed on the final goal, to see with his own eyes Lord Madan Gopal and join in the Lord's sporting pastimes. And as a result of this third benediction, even when Gopkumar achieves the post of emperor and of Lord Indra, he remained ignorant of the planets he has not yet seen, Swaga, Mahaloka, and so on. This so-called ignorance will help him progress towards ultimate happiness, as Lord Narada will explain at the end of the 5th chapter. One more verse. Mam drakshasi kadapyatra vrindaranye kadachana evam samam anugyapya kutrapi sahasaskamad. Sometimes you will see me here and sometimes in Vaikuntha. Having thus instructed me, my guru suddenly left to go elsewhere. Purport, Gopkumar still has not received complete instructions how to chant his mantra, but in his guru's opinion, the time and place are not proper for divulging that information. Instead, the guru promises that Gopkumar will meet him again a few more times. If Gopkumar to be given complete information about his sadhana, he may reach perfection quickly, but as fate would have it, he must first do some traveling around the universe. Separated from my guru, I felt very much aggrieved. But when I went to see Lord Jagannath, I regained my peace of mind and made a great endeavor to chant my japa. Whenever my eagerness to see Vrajabhumi became so intense, on the strength of Lord Jagannath's glories, the many gardens of his abode would appear to me as Vrindavan. Its sea is the Jamuna, and the slope of Niladri Hill is Govardhan. In this way, I continued living happily. Every day after taking darshan Lord, I chanted my mantra, following the order of my worshipful guru, and hoping to achieve my desired perfection. Then the king of Puri passed away, and his eldest son, who was very renounced, refused to accept the kingdom. The ministers consulted the Lord of the universe and took his command. And after observing me in the signs of Maharaj, the signs of Maharaj, they anointed me king. I can't get out of it. He just keeps on winning the lottery. Okay, I'll stop now because I give another class in 12 minutes to this Bhagavad Gita Institute. They sent me something like 3,000 people signed up for their courses or something. Pretty astounding. Okay, let me just, I think, oh, good. Jamuna Jaya, you're here. Okay.
Hare Krishna Viraj. Hola from Lima, Peru.
You are a Prari Vajragacharya. You're like a world traveler.
It was so nice, Viraj. I went out on Harinam with the local devotees last night. It was so fun.
Have they ever seen dancing like yours before?
No, they were they were like, oh, I at first the ladies particularly were pretty timid, but then this one lady, she started dancing with me, and then we had a great time. They actually let me lead for quite a bit of
Really?
it.
Wow, wow. Do they have a nice temple?
They have a very nice temple. They have Lord Jagannath. A beautiful, I can send you pictures. Beautiful, beautiful little temple. It's not open much. They're open for Mangal Arti, and then they close at Rajbhog, and then they just reopen briefly at 6:30 because I tried two other times to get to see since I've been here. They have a little Govindas downstairs that sells like snacks and things, and it was a small community but really super sweet. A
Is it
couple
like a
people.
house they bought or a house they rent or a
No, it's a building. It's a building. Downstairs is the Govindas, and they have a little courtyard, and then upstairs
they built
is the
it?
temple. Yeah, yeah.
Right. There was some devotee there. I remember a godbrother who did nice things there from Peru. I also have a student of mine that I'm in contact with named Tota Gopinath.
Ah, in Lima?
I don't know where he is. Just ask anyone if they know Tota Gopinath if you see
Don't
them.
do it. Okay, okay.
Okay, tell him he's
Yeah,
very close with your Guru Maharaj.
I will. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
I
It
send
was.
them donations sometimes because
Uh,
he's like a
it was.
preacher, but they're very poor.
Yeah, they don't have a lot. There's another temple about 2 hours away, which I don't think I'll be able to get to on my time off. But this one is
Okay.
literally like 8-minute walk from where I'm staying. So I could just go
Wow,
right there.
yeah, that's great.
It's,
That's
it's
nice.
so nice. But I've been really appreciating in this passage Gaur Kumar's just his faith. He has the mantra. He hasn't even received complete instructions about it, but it doesn't stop him. He keeps going, and I just really appreciate his
Yeah.
faith in this section.
And then tell him, don't stop. Don't stop.
It's that.
Okay, great.
Thank
Okay.
you, Mirage.
Um, Gail, you have anything quickly?
Yeah, I do. But I know you have short time, but I do have a few. Anyway, I was surprised by Gopa Kumar's stopping his chanting when it was the chanting that made him appreciate the deity so much. So as you're chanting, your relish of the chanting should increase. So why would he like want to stop the party just because he saw the
Well,
deity?
you make mistakes when you don't have Sambandhagyan. He was getting joy out of seeing the deities, so he thought, now the mantra has given me my perfection. So he didn't have Sambandhagyan. So he was relishing that. He was really enjoying because the it's the form of the name you're chanting. So he was getting reciprocation there. So somehow he gave it up. Yeah,
Yeah,
foolish.
I just, even though he was appreciating the deity so much, before he saw the deity, he should have also been experiencing the joy of the mantra, even though he didn't know that the mantra was the deity, why would you, give up something that you're enjoying also,
I gave the best answer I can give.
Okay, Maharaj, you said that the mantra will fulfill your desires, but will it fulfill your material desires also?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes.
You have to be careful.
Okay.
But it has to be Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. What's that verse? 1 second, let me find that verse. Let me find that verse.
Is it whether you have no material desires or all
Yeah,
material desires?
I got it. I got it here. 1 second. Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udivriddhi. Tivrena Bhakti Yogena yajeta purusham param. Person who has broader intelligence, whether he is full of all material desires, without any material desires, desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But it says, Tivrena, with great force, Bhakti Yogena. So yes, if you chant with great force, and it can fulfill desires also. But generally, when you have material desires, you won't chant with great force.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a little tricky there. They get you on a technicality there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and what were the other two things that the mantra fulfills? It fulfills your desires, and there were two other things.
I have to go back. I don't have to.
Oh, okay.
We'll do it tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to have to sign off because I got my next class teaching in the Bhagavad Gita Institute. So let me just look at all the people so I can see who's on the class today. I looked once. I'll look again. How do I do this now? Okay, the Zoom. Okay. Participants. Thank you all. Bhakti Devi, Haribo. Let's talk this week, okay? I don't know if she hears. Okay.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, give me later in the week or
Okay.
when you're free.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you all. I have to go. Vanchakalpa Tubhya Sakha.